We have what's called Miracle Mutts, which is our therapy program. So those dogs, it's a couple dozen therapy dogs that we've certified through our own canine assisted activities program. Those dogs are active everywhere, anywhere human beings can benefit from the human animal bond, whether it's prisons, institutions, adult living, senior living, assisted living, schools for autistic children, like anywhere. We've partnered with over 100 nonprofit organizations bringing our dogs to render services. And then obviously we have a rescue ranch, which is where I am now. We have a 20-acre ranch. We have about 170 dogs within our care. Any number of those, about 60 to 70, are living in foster homes in the area. Another 60 to 80 live here at the ranch. And then another 20 to 25 are living in the state prison, federal prison, and juvenile systems around the state of California. And that's kind of the essence of Marley's Mutts. How I got into prison reform and advocating for the incarcerated was a friend of mine got out of prison after 13 years, from 17 to 30.
Wow.
And so for 13 years, his whole adulthood was spent incarcerated. He got moved from California to Arkansas and the private prison kind of shenanigans, transferred to Oklahoma, a whole bunch of stuff. And when he got out, he had that stare. He had that kind of like borderline kind of feral, frequency to him, where it was just difficult for him to make conversation with a man, with a woman, to be vulnerable, to feel safe, to not. All these things were really challenging. And I paired him up with a dog that I was fostering who had been shot. She'd been shot in the chest. We had to remove 2 lobes of her lung. And the way that dog changed everything about his life, like his entire trajectory. Robbie's covered in prison house tattoos, so he's feeling judged. He's not sure how to integrate into life and take that step forward to, it's just one of those things. And for me too, he was a nervous, and maybe not afraid, but nervous of people, places, and things. And I know I was feeling that way when I first started to get sober. And you put that dog with him, you give him that 90-pound pit bull on the other end of that leash where he can go have conversations. It's a common denominator. When you're out in public and you got that dog with you, if you get nervous, if you have your dog to talk about.
Right.
One of the things that's been so beautiful about the human-animal bond and trying to introduce our society to the incarcerated is they have this trepidation to accept the incarcerated or formerly incarcerated into their hearts. But when you do it through the lens of an animal as well, there's this immediate acceptance and there's this understanding. So it served to have others accept him, and it served for him to feel a little bit more comfortable navigating the world. We hired him. He started to give his testimony alongside myself, alongside my mom at the mission at Kern County, where she got sober. It's a homeless center in Bakersfield, and just changed everything about his life. He now has his own dog rescue called Strength of Shadow. Wow. Strength of Shadow was that dog that helped rescue him. And he's doing great things up here in Kern County in Lake Isabella. So it was at that point, this was back in 2012, that we really tried to get into the system. I was greeted with brick walls left and right. I didn't know the first thing about prison programming. So I tried through the jail system up here at Laredo County Jail. And then we tried here at Tehachapi State Prison, and it just wasn't working out. And then basically we kept trying. And 4 years later, at the end of 2015, Warden David Long, who's now in charge, he's now the chief deputy in charge of long-term probation and parole up at CDCR in Sacramento. He took a gamble on us and he said, I'm trying to change things around here. I'm trying to put an onus on programming. I love what you're doing. I love your attitude. Will you guys come in here and bring the program to Cal City? They didn't have any money at the time. We had to pay for it exclusively ourselves, but he was going to promised to pilot us, get us approved. Right. And we linked up our operational procedures to fit into that system. We had to brief all the COs there who were very nervous about us bringing dogs in there, worried that our students were going to be training them to attack them. And then we had issues with the students too, because how things are, how organized in California state prisons is very gang affiliated and gang organized. And they also had trepidation about us because the COs think we're associated with the students. The students think we're associated with the COs. So we kind of just had to figure it out. So we got boycotted by by one of the groups in the very beginning. And then we had a Rosa Parks of sorts. We had a gentleman who crossed that racial picket line and said, you know what, I don't buy any of this. This is something that's going to better my life. I'm going for it. And once he did that, the rest of that race followed suit, and then we had real harmony. And then you started to see some real profound things happen on that yard, and that was the beginning of positive change, baby. That was January 2016. Since then, we've been at we've had level 4 programs at level 4 180, Old Corcoran State Prison, one of the most dangerous yards, in California. We've been at Wasco. We have 2 programs at North Kern State Prison. We have a program at the BOP, the Bureau of Prisons, the Federal Victorville Complex. We got a program next door here at Tehachapi State Prison, which is, we literally share a boundary. We share a border with Tehachapi State Prison. So yeah, and we have 2 juvenile programs, a boys juvenile program and a girls juvenile program. And that boys program is taught by 2 of our graduates. One of whom was at Corcoran State Prison for, he was incarcerated for 18 years, locked up at 14, tried as an adult. And another one of our gentlemen, 22 years, Mr. Galaviz, who did his last 4 years in our program at North Kern State Prison. So it's not only that our guys are getting educated in prison and working this program and saving lives, but they're exiting prison and they're finding gainful employment within the $100 billion pet industry. And we got 30 dudes out there, professional dog trainers who have been through the program, who are free, who are small business owners, who are contributing to their community, and who are bringing in, these are mostly Black and brown gang members.
Wow.
Former gang members. So we're bringing in a whole new populace, a whole new group of people who have really been disenfranchised from the pet industry and kind of had a lot of the issues blamed on them, to be perfectly honest, why we have overpopulation, et cetera. So it's really hitting a lot of different elements of what we need to work on in our culture, which is like acceptance of the formerly incarcerated and the incarcerated, job placement for them, bringing them in to help us solve some of these like black eye issues within our culture. And animal euthanasia is definitely one of them. It's causing we see a tremendous amount of racial interaction and harmony within the state prison system. And this is at tough spots. Right. You're at a level 4 and you got people, working with each other like that. It's very unique, but the dogs bring people together in a way that is, really prolific and really profound. And they end up trudging forward to better their lives. I mean, I'm not going to say that everybody stops politicking, but it does give you an opportunity to entrench yourself in something positive and to really take some steps forward to work on loving yourself and prepare yourself to get home. I mean, that's what those dogs represent. Those dogs represent home. Like, baby, you're gonna come home soon. And this dog is a metaphor for that. And the more you put into this life, the more you put into rehabilitating this life, and then by proxy working on yourself, then you're gonna be successful. And it's we've really had a tremendous amount of success in the 8 years we've been doing this. And the sky's the limit, really. We can scale this. Every community has, especially in California, right? Every community has a prison. Every community has an animal shelter. And the need for these trainers, pet industry professionals, is tremendous. It's between 10 and 15% increase every year, year over year. Nice. And right now, the economy doesn't have enough dog trainers, doesn't have enough dog walkers, kennel technicians, veterinary technicians, et cetera. So there's for those of us who've been advocating for the incarcerated and formerly incarcerated, we've been praying for like a economy that will accept them. And we've been promised like the renewable energy sector, the like oil and gas sector. We've been promised all this stuff, a bunch of lovely, whispers in our ears, but nothing's a bunch of promises, but nothing's, come true. And you kind of got to just do it on your own. And here we found this pet industry that is like inherently, okay with second chances and inherently like seeks out second chances. So they really get this idea of forgiveness. And what we found is that most of the folks who are really interested in our program and our students, working with trainers, they want to work with the formerly incarcerated trainers over a normal trainer, right? So we're seeing this shift, and that's what we need. These are our brothers. These are our sisters. Right. These are American human being, thinking, feeling, loving, empathetic, individuals. And I'm not trying to take sympathy on anybody. Like, as you know, as someone who's been down, like there are, by virtue of what you've experienced inside, you got something in here that people need, because we're out here suffering and struggling, and we're not behind walls. And what you guys have had to get through just to wake up every day and try to face that day without losing your hope, without losing your integrity, without losing your values. Right. And you guys have done that. And I think I have learned so much of my life has been more positive, more rich, more deep, more meaningful, because I connect and I have a brotherhood and a community with the formerly incarcerated. There's just a different perspective, and there's a tenacity and just an ability to trudge, just put that one foot in front of the other and keep moving forward. Sometimes the way back is forward.
That's
You know
right.
what I mean? And it's just been beautiful. It feels so good to have found this purpose and to get to talk to people like you and work on this. Like, there's nothing more, to have found this type of altruism that really needs our attention. Like, there are millions of individuals that
That's
are
right.
being judged, that are being kept out of our society, that are being maligned, and we're just missing out. Like, the worst thing in life is wasted potential, right?
That's right.
And we're doing that at an institutional level, and decimating, communities at the same time. So it feels good to be part of the solution and to be working a way forward on this.